Welcome in to the Rock Talk Studio, where I find you that next great rock and roll book or documentary to check out. This is the podcast that reviews, previews, and most importantly, recommends to you the good stuff. I'm your host, Big Rick. Let's plug in. This is a story of Andreas Cornelius van Kujic. He was born in the Netherlands, and he ran away from home 17 times when he was a kid. So much so that eventually his parents stopped looking for him when he took off. And when he did come back, he always had these amazing stories of where he had been, what he was up to, and how he was hanging out with the circus, traveling with gypsies, really elaborate, over-the-top adventures. And on one of these runaway sessions, he even tried to get to America. He was 16 and he stowed away on a boat. He got caught, detained, and then returned home. Not to be deterred, he tried again 3 months later, but this time he had friends on the inside. Dries, as he was called, took a job on the ship to learn who he needed to befriend to help him to make it to America. Again, he was 16 years old, and this time it worked. He entered America with a 5th grade education and being able to speak very little English. And Dries was a hustler. He was a great promoter and hype man. It just came to him at a very early age. He was just a natural at it. And the beginning of this book goes into the detail of this amazing story of Dries, who eventually became known as Tom Parker, and Tom Parker, who eventually became known as Colonel Tom Parker. In the first half of this book, The Colonel and the King, Tom Parker, Elvis Presley, and the Partnership That Rocked the World by Peter Guralnick, a well-put-together biography of the Colonel, leans into two main things: his ability to promote and how he did it, and his relationship with Elvis. And it does these two things by offering something never seen before. This is Tom Parker's side of the story, and I can say that not because of just the way it was written or how the author skewed it, but because of what 250 pages of this book included, and that is never-before-seen letters that the Colonel wrote. Guralnick actually got to see Parker's archives, which included these letters, and Parker wasn't a compulsive letter writer. He wrote and received over 10,000 correspondence. Peter Guralnick is known for writing two very popular Elvis books, Last Train to Memphis, which came out in 1994, and Careless Love in 1999, and both are considered classics, so he definitely knows his Elvis. There's really two parts to this book. The first 300 pages gives a very detailed look at how Tom Parker became this myth, and it's fascinating, especially the story of who he was before he met Elvis. His wheelings and dealings and promotions, his work ethic was unmatched. He was such a character, and I really enjoyed seeing behind the deals and how he came up with certain things to promote and support Elvis. He was extremely committed to Elvis Presley. And Parker, who was often looked at as a villain, was actually this marketing genius businessman who cared very deeply for Elvis and Elvis's family. Part 2 of the book is the letters, and there is a ton of them. This book is a monster. We're talking 624 pages. And the letters give you a front row seat to the 2 points I outlined: Parker's promotional style and his relationship with Elvis. It was cool to see the way the Colonel worked with record labels, movie studios, concert promoters, merchandise people. And to me, that was a big one. That I really found very interesting, because it was a kind of behind the scenes ground level look at the early days of rock and roll. I really liked that part of this book, and the biography part and the letters showed, kind of mapped out what it was like promoting rock and roll in the early stages of rock and roll in the 50s and then into the 60s. And these letters also give you the truth. You can actually read how Tom Parker and Elvis spoke to each other and how they ended up juggling this huge otherworldly thing that Elvis Presley became. Another cool thing about the letters is the way Guralnick sets them up. He works in some context of the situation before presenting the letter. So whether it was from Parker or Parker was responding to someone, he gives a little backstory and explains what Parker was up to and what he was trying to achieve. And you get to see how Parker used letters as a way to negotiate and promote, and it was fascinating reading his own words. He had a strange confidence and a very different way of phrasing things. His lack of education definitely showed in the way he wrote. He didn't spell very well, but he always seemed to get his point across. And when I was reading through the letters, it made me think that I might have enjoyed them more if they were mixed into the story. That would probably be my only complaint, if you could call it that. I would say it's more of a personal preference. I think for me, I would have enjoyed having the letters placed into the story and used to show what was going on with the many different correspondence Parker was having with so many different people. The Colonel, whose identity was basically fictitious, led a fascinating life, and it had a lot to do with his self-created mythology. But with these letters, you get as close to the real guy as possible. And even though he is definitely playing up his business side in the letters, they do show that Parker was a much deeper character than who he was mainly portrayed to be. And as I mentioned, I'm not a big Elvis fan, and I haven't read any of Elvis's books that Guralnick wrote, but I have to think that this book offers up some new discoveries. These letters make this a very special piece in the Elvis Presley story and in rock and roll history. I know Elvis fans are really going to be into this book. It's special and it's well written. The Colonel and the King, Tom Parker, Elvis Presley, and the partnership that rocked the world is 624 pages and is written by Peter Guralnick. One more thing about this book, it lends itself to something that I wanted to mention, and it happens to do with a new Bruce Springsteen biopic that's about to come out. Let's get into that after the break. If you'd like more great recommendations about the world of rock and roll books and documentaries, I encourage you to sign up for my newsletter. It's called the Rock Talk Studio Blast. Right now, subscriptions are free. It comes out once a month, the last Friday of the month, and it gives you all the details, everything you need to know about what's coming out. I have a full list of release dates of all the new films and books. I've got a running top 5 that I do throughout the year. So if you're just looking for, hey, give me something quick, I want the best books, the best docs that come out this year, you've got a list of that. It also entitles you to all the giveaways that I do. Been giving away a ton of books lately. I just gave away some great merchandise from the Outlaw Music Festival. If you want in, again, it's free. You can send me an email at info@rocktalkstudio.com. I'll put that in the show notes where you can just click the link. Send me an email, say, Big Rick, send me that blast, and I'll hook you up. The new Bruce Springsteen biopic called Deliver Me From Nowhere is about to come out, and it's based on the amazing book of the same name by Warren Zanes that came out a few years ago. It won the Rock Talk Studio Book of the Year Award in 2023. It is a tremendous read. I highly, highly suggest that one. The new film, it just premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival, and it centers around the Nebraska period of Springsteen's career. The film's coming out October 24th, and the reason why I mention it is because seeing all the press about the Tribeca Film Festival, I couldn't help to think about the beginning of the Colonel and the King book, and how the beginning of Tom Parker's life would make for an incredible movie. I mean, the story is just fascinating. I couldn't put it down, and it could tell the tale right up until the time that the Colonel meets Elvis, kind of leave you off at a high point. Kind of like the Dylan biopic, A Complete Unknown did, right after Dylan played electric and was about to explode. I'm sure trying to get the rights to a Colonel Tom Parker Elvis film would not be the easiest and probably affordable thing to do, but after reading this book, it would make for a hell of a film. One more thing about biopics, I guess it's on my brain right now because I was making a few notes for the next newsletter, and there are a few books, really interesting and unique stories that came out last year that really lend itself to movies, and I've come up with a couple of them. I'm going to write about it and share about it in the next Rock Talk Studio Blast newsletter. And see what you think. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Love talking rock and roll with you. Got a chance to talk some Elvis Presley on the Rock Talk Studio. I love it, especially when it's wrapped around this great new book. Check it out. All right, let's tear it down, pack it up, and head on down the road. I'll see you next time in the Rock Talk Studio. And Elvis has left the building.